Hey everyone, welcome back to the Two Idiots podcast. This is your host Ravi here, and as usual, my co-host on the other side, Ruben.
Hello. Hi.
Hey Ruben, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going fine. How are you?
Yeah, cool. So today, for this weekend special, we have a very special guest joining us all the way from India, Nikhil Joseph, who runs his own business. Nikhil, you want to say a few words about yourself and what you do? Floor is all yours.
Sure. Why not, man? First of all, thanks for this. A few words. I finished my engineering in Chennai and then went on to work at Facebook in India first and then in America. Basically was associated with ads, but also set up the page policy team back in the day. Basically, in 2012, Facebook pages was just taking off. So they needed a couple of backend systems to be set up. So was involved in that for about 3 years. Before quitting everything and coming back to India. I run a brand called the Postbox, and we are essentially a direct-to-consumer brand based out of India, and we ship globally. We also do B2B, and what the brand does is we design, manufacture, and sell leather goods and goods made with Cordura which are essentially inspired by user experiences. So yeah.
So did you know Chamath during your time at Facebook?
Yes, I did. He was on the newsfeed team.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's quite a big deal now, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I was one of the first 1,000 employees. So essentially, Chamath and all were just walking around in the campus. So it was quite a lot of fun. The initial team it's very different right now because there are about 40,000 employees from what I hear. But back in the day, it basically was like a startup, right? So you essentially had to take a flight out, go there, jam like the whole day, and then get back and chill. So yeah, it was good fun having him around.
So what was your motivation behind leaving Facebook and starting your own business?
So one is, it was a time when India was at the cusp of massive technological advancements, and a massive young generation which was coming into with a high disposable income. So that was one. Two is, what I was doing was aspirational at that point of time, continues to be aspirational, but was not there was no D2C brand, core D2C brand in my space. There was High Design, but High Design was selling more in Europe than in India, and was mostly offline than online. So it was basis my exposure in America, where I had the opportunity to come face to face with a lot of direct-to-consumer brands, which are already very popular in America, and experience them firsthand. Which is why I think this is something which will work in India if executed well. That was the idea.
So, did you take like a journey before you decided to settle on leather goods, or was that the plan right from the get-go?
No, it was not. So we pivoted twice.
Okay.
Our first pivot was in 20. I started the Postbox right after I got out of Facebook within a month, and I think we just hashed out, basic strategy, basic website, got things rolling. Done is better than perfect was one of the themes at Facebook. So we just wanted to get something out of the park. We essentially initially we were a platform for artists to showcase their work on multiple mediums. Now, over time, one of the things which we realized in the first 6 months of operations was that India was not ready to pay a premium for art as it is today. I'm talking about 2014.
Okay.
How do we scale? So now one of the things which you essentially see is when you build businesses is scale is extremely important. Otherwise, there's no fun in it.
Absolutely.
So there was no scale happening. We were going at a very, very moderate pace. And for someone who has been part of a company like Facebook, which is fast growing, it was not something I was okay with. So I decided to essentially take my goods and travel across India for about 4 months.
Okay.
We went through Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Delhi, met a couple of people, put up my products in a couple of places. got some customer feedback. There's nothing like the founder himself going and asking for feedback on what he's doing. So got a lot of feedback, came back. And one of the things which came out of the entire conversation was, what's the functional aspect of what I'm giving you? What is, if I'm giving you 100 rupees, how is it going to help me every day in terms of art? So then we launched a couple of bags the moment I came back. And that's when we pivoted from being a platform for artists and designers to actually making our own products and selling them. Immediate jump, about 4-5x, 4 to 5x from if what I remember, from what I remember correctly. Scaled across verticals. We scaled between home essentials, as well as travel essentials. Under home, we had ceramic and stoneware. We were working with the Indian artisans. So the entire Indian context of, like, how do we use Indian crafts for our products, so on and so forth, came to the picture. So the next 1 year was fast scale. We sort of went by about 10 to 12 times what our revenue was in May of that year. We ended that year pretty well. The following year, we received a round of funding. So here is where, a couple of things matters. One is you need to get the right investors, and two, you need to also understand what your market size is, whether you have achieved product market fit, so on and so forth. So these are all new concepts to a 26-year-old. Now, we essentially, at that point of time, when we started off, we burnt that cash in about 6 months, and our revenues were not growing at the rate it should have been growing at, which is when we also met Mr. Tata, Ratan Tata.
Whoa.
So he was at a point where he was investing in a lot of Indian startups, and he invited us over to his office. So couple of quick things, like one specific anecdote from his conversations was that focus on one thing instead of many things. So that was one big takeaway, and make sure you keep having conversations with your customers, which we were doing. Now, the first part of this conversation, the first part of my takeaway from him was something which we really had to follow, because our losses were increasing, but we were scaling. Now, that was not going to work because at some point cash was going to go out and money is going to dry up. So we had to take a call of whether to follow leather goods at that point, or whether to get into ceramic and homeware at the point. So, unit economics, market size, product market fit, so on and so forth. We just went, did some analysis, and decided to do a second pivot, which is move from taking care of spreading ourselves thin across multiple verticals to focusing on one vertical and growing horizontally on that vertical. So from about 2017, I would say we have been essentially going deep into one vertical and scaling up on that vertical horizontally across functions, across different product categories. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your team, Nikhil.
The team, we have one person who the core team, essentially we have two people who take care of design. We have the design, we have a data, we have an experience team, and then we have operations and supply chain. So it's pretty straightforward. I still consider ourselves too young to have a full-fledged, a team which takes care of intricate details and, specific details as such. So we all overlap at some point of time. So data overlaps with the customer experience. Operation supply chain overlaps with design. I feel like there is a sense of design and supply chain has to work hand in hand with each other, so that the materials we use for a specific design can be obtained. So we do a lot of that. It cannot be scaled a specific design, so that we work with supply chain for. So that is, we are a core of about 8 people. Core team is only 8 people. Okay. The support team, which is our logistics and warehousing team, is about 10 people. Most of the work we do is automated. We form systems. So we base our entire platform on Shopify, which I'm sure you guys are aware of. Shopify is a pretty well-known e-commerce platform, but you can build layers on that. So we have built a couple of layers on that on Shopify using developers, and so that works well for us. No downtime, cost effective, and you can easily scale using Shopify.
Do you have a co-founder or co-founders, or are you like the only?
I did have a co-founder, but I bought out my co-founder in 2016, along with another investor.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. I bought out my co-founder, and the person who also came in with me, he is into exports for leather goods in India.
Okay.
So he came in as a strategic investor. So it played out well for us to get someone like that, because you get access to like a lot of technology, right? So very early on. So one of the key metrics, if you see, like, let's say a Zara, one of the reasons why they're able to scale and launch so many designs so quickly is because their time from prototyping to launching a product is very short. And that's because they don't essentially do their prototyping outside their design studio. It's done inside, and it's done quickly. So with the kind of technology we have at our factory, we essentially turn out prototypes every 48 hours if we want to turn out a prototype, or if you have a quick idea in mind, and we can just go ahead and tell them what we want, and it gets done. Because essentially there's a lot of time which it takes to cut the product silhouettes and all of that stuff, which is done automatically using CAD machines and laser cutting. So yeah.
So I mean, the early days, these machines are a bit too expensive, right? Laser cutting and all those things. How is government subsidy like to procure these kind of machines these days in India, like, or fully through self-funded, or?
No, so we did not. Yeah, there's not much subsidies given to machines like this in India. What I did well was that, what we did well was that we got the right investor on board to help us scale. I think that's pretty critical, right? Because one of the bottlenecks of D2C brands is supply chain, because if you have a market and if you want to really scale quickly, the only thing which stops you is your vendor support. And in vendor support, as you scale, biggest problem is quality, right? So with all of this taken care of in like a factory which has all of the machines and all of the technology, it sort of becomes easier for us to think of above what else apart from supply chain to take care of. So design becomes important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, why don't I just share your website on the screen so our listeners know what we're exactly talking about?
Sure.
This is the landing page, right, Nikhil? Did I get this right?
No. So this is the catalog page. So yeah.
Collection.
Click on this.
Yeah.
Right. I went through the product catalogs and they're all beautiful. They all look super awesome.
We're working with Cordura now, so we're launching a non-leather collection. So because there are a lot of people who doesn't want to use leather in India. So for them, and that's a huge market. So we were sort of tapping into the market slowly this year. We've launched our first 5 products. So we'll be launching one more.
And was that decision driven by a need for a lower cost product, or it's just
no. It's just, so one of the things we don't want to do is come up with products cheaper, which are going to subsidize the value we give through a product in terms of material. So we don't want to compromise there. So even the materials we use are still high end and of a certain level. We want to make products last long enough for at least about 2 to 3 years. If we can, that would be great. So yeah.
Nikhil, tell us a bit about how the meetings with the VC and Ratan Tata happened. Like, I'm just curious, what was the journey like? Trying to reach out to the VC, and I'm sure you got turned down a few times, if I may assume.
Yeah, a lot. In fact, a lot of prominent VCs, I can't name them, but a lot of prominent VCs in Bangalore, who I reached out to and cold emailed, they didn't even hear the presentation, right? So they heard the entire D2C idea. Okay, your margins are this much. Or okay, you want to scale this much, great, but I don't think it's going to work, and they just shut the door on us. So a lot of people like that. So we would probably, my co-founder and I would probably head down to Bangalore every second weekend to speak to investors. And then we sort of landed up on a very prominent industrialist, not industrialist, a technologist called Mr. Ramraj, who was the founder of Satyam, not Satyam, Sifi, sorry.
Yeah, Sifi.com.
Yeah, and Sifi.com. And he sold Sifi to Satyam just before the scam happened. So but he came out of that, and he was the founder. So he sort of listened to us and wanted to help us grow. So he had started something called the Chennai Angels, which is very popular in which is an angel network based out of Chennai. A lot of HNIs. Yeah. So they were our initial backers. And essentially we chose them, but it took a lot. It took, I think, about a year and a half. We started searching in 2015 and we ended up only in July 2016 getting our round closed. So it took a lot, because at that point of time, there were hardly any D2C brands. The idea itself was new.
Yeah.
So they were wondering, even your boats, for example, didn't even exist. There was something called boats at that point of time. So it was very interesting. I mean, speaking to investors, Ratan Tata was a cold email. I got his email ID from a source, and then I sent him a cold email. I got a reply back immediately, like in 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was amazing, right? Because he was replying back from, he was not in India, he was in the States.
Okay.
And he replied back saying, I'm not in India right now, but I'd like to take a look at your work once you're back. Do let me know. Then his assistant called us up and told, hey, we'd like for you to come over to our office in Bombay. So we showed up, and at that point of time, he has a very good grasp of a lot of topics, including leather. He just understands what we're talking about pretty well. So he understood where we're coming from. He didn't invest in us at that point of time, and I primarily blame it on the fact that we were doing too much too early on.
Okay.
Which is, I think, quite simply a very good piece of advice I would give any new entrepreneur, that if you try doing too much too early on, you're not going to be able to concentrate on anything or grow in depth in anything, as well. So it's going to become an issue for you. I mean, we can give examples like Apple, for example, right? Before they launched the iPhone, it was the iTouch, and they just kept reintroducing the iPods, basically. And they kept reintroducing it, making themselves so successful with that one product that they could easily replicate that same, sort of success with the iPhone.
Yep.
So I think that's one piece of advice, and that worked well for us. I've not reached out to him after that yet. So
he is an investor, or
no, he's not. He's not.
Oh, he passed. Okay.
He passed. Yes.
Yeah, but I think now he has really stepped up his investments in Indian startups, right? He has like a right-hand guy, the 20-something-year-old who.
Yeah, at that point of time, this guy was not there. It was somebody else.
Okay.
But he has a team, and they definitely look at investments quite largely. I don't think they don't do big ticket investments though. They do only small ticket investments in multiple companies. And I think most of his investments, I'm not sure, it's equity based, but I don't think they're like, he looks for like rewards right away, or like, it's not like a Premji Azim Premji's fund, Premji Investments, where they actively invest and, divest whenever they feel like.
They want to return within 12 months, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
this is more like.
One thing that differentiates the Tatas from the other entrepreneurs is, they're in for the long term, right? Like.
Yes.
Industrialists, they're not business.
Yeah. So that was great. I mean, it was a great experience, to be honest. Very, very humble guy. I mean, for all that wealth and all that, what he has done, leave the wealth, but the kind of what he's done to India in terms of all the companies he has started, insane. He's great. Very, very nice experience speaking to Mr. Ratan Tata. So yeah.
So like what we're doing for operational expenses before you raised capital, you were just burning your own savings.
Yeah. So had enough to save, so saved enough, and then used all that cash to run the show for a while. But one of the things which we did quite early on and is that we achieved significant scale. So we said that, hey, I'm talking at that point of time, we were doing about 15 to 16 lakhs per month.
Nice.
So we were pretty clear that, if we can do this kind of scale so early on, like within 1.5 years of starting, then it should be easy for us to scale quite rapidly. Of course, in the entire 2 pivots, things changed. Our revenue went down, it went back up. But it was important to prove a point that can we actually scale a company, a D2C brand in India? So that was possible. So that was what the investors wanted as well.
So how do you get the traffics? I mean, to a website. What's your the sales funnel like, or the branding strategies like?
So a couple of things, right? One is we use Instagram very heavily, and we use Facebook very heavily. Now, for a young brand like us, which targets the audience between 22 all the way up to 34, it's important for us to have a very organic social presence. So, for example, our Instagram audience has grown organically. We have hardly paid for our Instagram audience to get more followers. But it's the kind of language we use. It's not the language which comes out of an agency. It's more like, it's more personal. Hey, today we're at the studio, we're testing out a couple of prototypes and we're going to be launching a couple of products in this space. So that sort of really caught on with the customers, right? And with the audience essentially. And they wanted to know more about who we are, what we do, how are we building out a brand from India. A lot of curious DMs on what's happening. And yeah, so it became quite interesting for us to scale. So
I love your Instagram page. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's actually different. It gives the distinctive experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's say that I go get a product on your platform, and then you get my personal information, and then do I get an email back saying that, okay, so these are all the upcoming offers or new products that are coming up? So
of course.
Okay, so you have all those kind of different channels.
Yeah. So we have built out. So apart from, let's say, Instagram and Facebook, we have a newsletter funnel. We have constant emails being sent out. We also, one of the things we do well is we talk to customers every other day. So every second day, we segregate about 30 to 35 customers from the entire lot, and we have like a conversation with them, where we ask them certain questions. Hey, how did you like your product? That's how it starts. But it also goes on to see what would you like from the Postbox, and what would you like to solve? So that really helps us, right? And that shows intent. Okay, fine. Here is a company which actually wants to solve for a use case rather than just making fancy leather goods. So a lot of our products comes out of conversations. A simple example: we recently launched a tote, and it was for a daughter had bought it for her mother. The daughter, over a conversation while we were getting feedback, told us that the mother told her that when she opens we have designed a water bottle holder inside the tote. Now it is on the other side of the zipper. So the mother told the daughter, why have they not designed the water bottle holder on the side of the zipper?
Yeah.
So it's a user experience.
Yes.
So it's a small change. It's just moving the water bottle holder from the other side to this side. But I'm sure it will really change user experience.
Yes.
Definitely. So that's exactly what we did. So from the next batch, we took that feedback, routed it to the team, and told them, hey, please make this change. The panel has to come on this side of the bag. And that made sense to us. So we do a lot of that stuff, apart from the two, Now at scale, I'm not sure how we are going to do that. At scale, I'm saying that we are at a significant scale now, so we are able to do it. But let's say we reach up to a point where we have to talk to 100 people per day. That's going to be a little tough. So we'll have to figure out Google Forms, and we'll have to figure out different hacks as to how to get to that. We also use Google Forms every second month, where you just put it up on Instagram and ask for feedback. Apart from the NPS score and all of that stuff, which we also have on the Google Form, we also say which are the other brands you shop from. Now, why that's important for us is I want to know where our customers are shopping from and what are their likes and dislikes. Yeah. So we don't just put, let's say, a bag brand, or we don't just put like a shoe brand. We also put a coffee brand. We also put like an Indian aesthetic, a brand which follows typical Indian aesthetics, to understand, okay, fine, where is our audience like? So that really helps us as well. Understand, how to essentially.
I mean, you could ask, if people are buying a product, and then you try to understand what all the other preferences, And then is there any matching across your customer segment for the product category they're shopping? So yeah, that's also so. And also just get an idea. So do you have any social media marketing budget? And if so, like how much is it something that can be shared or?
Yeah.
Just
Sure, why not?
idea, yeah.
So to give you like what we do today, we spend about 5.5 to 6 lakhs per month
on social.
Yeah, on social media alone.
Oh, okay.
So it's quite a lot, but we are at a scale where we need to see the first couple of years till you really build out a brand of trust. You need to acquire customers. Now, different brands have different marketing budgets. I would say, let us say, there's a very interesting brand in India called Sleepy Owl, which essentially makes coffee, instant coffee. Now, if you really like that coffee, you're going to go back and buy it anyway, so they don't have to keep targeting you. So unlike me, where if somebody buys a bag, they're not going to buy another bag for at least a year or two.
It's a consumer
unless they want something else. Yeah. So unless they want something else. So different brands have different marketing budgets. For me, I need to acquire as many customers as possible initially with the number of products I launch. I'm not saying that I don't keep a track of repeat customer base. I do. And that is why I launch products across different verticals in the horizontal I am in. But it cannot be just that one metric. I have to track my first time customers as well. So that's why I spend a lot on marketing right now. We'll see as time goes.
How about working with influencers in India, right?
Yeah.
Or I mean, do you also do that as well, or?
No, I don't. I mean, that's a rule. That's a very strict rule I follow. I mean, I should break it at some point. My primary concern with Instagram influencer marketing, I mean, there are two kinds. One is the high reach kind where they have paid for likes. And the second is the high reach kind where they are organically growing their likes. Now, I'm not able to identify which is what. And the second problem is Instagram does not have metrics enough to track whether that specific influencer is giving you this many conversions for this cost. So the moment I see that play out, I think Instagram influencer is not for conversions, it's more for branding. So I would prefer using Instagram influencers for branding. And if I ever have to use them, I will use the high-end guys, because that's where the brand really gets built out. Not the guys who who are essentially not giving us good content or reach.
What about running ads in print media and on television? Have you ever thought about that?
No, not yet. No, I think it's becoming obsolete in India at this point of time. Absolutely obsolete. I mean, I read a newspaper every day, but most of my news, which I read, let's say in an Economic Times, now I just get alerts on my phone. The same news comes on my phone, what I read in the morning. It comes throughout the day. So it's sort of duplicating itself. I see that not becoming important at this point of time. Most of my audience is very active on Instagram and on Facebook anyway, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. In fact, this year we're looking at LinkedIn and we're looking at Snapchat. We're looking at TikTok. We're looking at a lot of other verticals. So TikTok's advertising, I would say, is what Facebook was in its initial days. So that's something which we're looking at. Google is something we're looking at as well. But Google takes a lot more time than Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram is instant. Google takes at least 3-4 months of training the algorithm to work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's not immediate.
All right.
So, and then I just want to ask you, like, let's say you have product mix, right? So how do you actually manage the mix when the volume actually suits up? So you have to, at any given time, probably, let's say you have 100 the product mix. So you have to manage the supply chain, the mix, the manufacturing process. If you have bigger mix, then the efficiency of the process will become lower and lower. So, but that's always a challenge, in any manufacturing.
That is a huge challenge. So what we do here is we rely on data quite a lot. We do a lot of data analysis. There are seasons where certain products go faster than the other products. For example, now it's a season for Valentine's Day, which happens to be on Monday. A lot of gifting happening back and forth, and we know exactly what's moving and what's not moving. We knew that from last Valentine's Day. So we started stocking up from December end, January first week. But in general, every company has a couple of products which sell faster than the rest. And that sort of becomes the definition of that company. So our goal is to get at least 5 to 6 products which become the face of the company in many ways. One is they should add value to the customer. They should spread virality in the sense that they should tell the consumer who's using the product should tell other consumers that, hey, this product really helps me. And that product, that the consumer who has bought the product should come back for more. And also one more thing we track closely is returns. If the product is high selling but also high return rate, then it doesn't make sense for us. Right? It really it's you're losing the plot there because you're spending a lot more on logistics. So a couple of things we keep in track, right? So we have about 3-4 really bestsellers, like products which are like icons at the Postbox.
It's on your website,
now,
right?
Yeah, we put that's bestsellers every month. It auto populates.
Okay.
But this is about like 25-30 products. But out of this we have about 4-5 products. Now, what we did in what we do at the Postbox right now, it's a new model we follow from last year, is we make for 6 months at a stretch and keep. And we calculate, we backdate, like we look at the data for the last 2 years. We add what's the growth we want, and then we sort of manufacture at scale and keep it in stock at the factory. The arrangement is that I will take the products when I need them, placing a purchase order. So that I have that luxury because one of our strategic investors runs a factory, and we make use of the strengths that we have there. You know, it becomes easier for us. So that's why I said it's very important to get the right team in place for as you want to scale D2C brands.
And then one small thing. So you said TikTok, right? So TikTok is actually banned in India.
Yeah.
So why focus on TikTok, or you want to focus
for the global audience?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to start at some point. So we have our aesthetic, if you see, is not Indian. It follows a very global aesthetic. So we do have a lot of people from outside India who are very interested in our products, but who don't want to spend on our products because of the shipping cost, which is quite high. It's double or triple sometimes the product cost. So we're exploring drop shipping. We're looking at exploring drop shipping in Singapore, UAE, and a couple of other close geographical regions, so that once we do that, then we can sort of ship directly from that zone to the consumer of that area. So we are looking at that as an option. We're exploring that for the next financial year.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Nikhil, I just realized we have only 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to end this call.
Yes, sure, man.
I mean, it was wonderful talking to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for taking the time out. I know it's a Saturday. So really appreciate it.
No issues. I'm at work, so it's fine.
Yeah, and for viewers and listeners of our podcast, check out Nikhil's wonderful website and the beautiful Instagram page. And Nikhil, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Through Instagram?
No, not on Instagram. You can directly reach out to me at nikhil@postbox.in. I promise to read all emails as quickly as possible.
Awesome. I'll leave the email in the video description, as well as links to the website and Instagram page.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing your journey. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great Sunday.
Yep. You too. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.